we took on projects in the beginning that we felt were the right size for us. No matter what was coming in, we were taking the ones that we felt were right for us at the time, and we've tried to kind of grow and evolve slowly so that we aren't taking on projects that we feel are running before we're walking, and it's just slowly built
every
up.
Project we take on is
a
like beyond us,
a little bit.
Yes, anyway.
As I was saying that, I was like, hang on a minute.
But I think it's good to push yourself constantly in everything that you do.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's
Within reason.
Well, I just look for the support that you need to enable you to do what you want to do, which is generally. And I was just saying to you, we always just think if it's not us, it'll be someone. So why shouldn't it be us?
Style's a really funny thing because I don't think anyone sets out to develop their style.
Or maybe they do, and that's where they're going wrong.
Oh, I don't know. No, but it does develop, obviously, but it takes a while for you to become aware of it. And actually, it's other people that have told us what our style is more than we've been aware of what that style is. And maybe now we feel like we know where we are, but it has we've grown into ourselves, maybe. We were really lucky when we first launched our business that we got the opportunity to go to Milan Design Fair. And that was like kids in a sweet shop. Oh my God, amazing. And obviously, in Italy, they work with colour in a way that we don't necessarily work with colour in this country, and so we just sort of took that on board instantly, and we didn't realise that hadn't quite come over to Britain. Do you know what I mean? I feel like even now people are really starting to get braver with colour, and a lot of the Italian design aesthetics are sort of happening here because social media is exploding in the interiors arena.
Everything's smaller, isn't it?
Everyone's aware of what's happening in Milan as much as, you know, in New York, and it's sort of easier to be braver in a way because you can see so many other people doing what you might want to do.
I also think it's really instinctual. I think when we come to work on a project, I generally have quite a strong instinct of, it's blue. And Russell's like, but why is it blue? What blue is it? I'm like, I don't know, it's blue. I feel that this is blue for these people or whatever, or green or whatever it might be. And then, so...
Yeah, Mystic Meg of Interiors.
Oh, yeah, yes. It's like that classic Hollywood film scene of like the interior designer swooping his head and seeing orange.
Yeah, everything's green.
No, but you are a bit like that.
I generally get quite a strong feeling to colour straight away. Oh, this is a sneak peek. Two of those haven't even been Instagrammed yet. This is our kitchen at home, which we've just completed.
It's amazing, isn't it?
We've been working on for 3 years in our heads, and yeah, it's been such a long process, hasn't it?
This house was it came off the back of a project that we did. Our first house that we bought when we were married, we renovated it over the space of 12 months and sold it and moved on. And it was quite a traumatic experience.
We never intended to flip it, by the way. We're not those people that like wanted to flip a house. We intended to live in it. And then this came on the market, and the estate agent that we knew said to us, guys, this house has just come on, we really think you should see it. And we were like, no, we're very happy. And they're like, please come and see it. And we did. We walked in to the front door and we were like,
that's what they always say.
We want to buy this house. You know that feeling that people talk about? We got that feeling. I don't know how well the colour reads on these pictures, but this is through to our hallway, and this is the woodwork colour that we've had. Every piece of woodwork in the whole house is painted this colour. And we wanted to continue that in the new space, and we wanted the radiators to match, which the Bisque colour match, and they're so perfect. The colour matches.
So
yeah,
is it Mylands?
It's a Mylands paint. It's called Rose Theatre. Which is
quite nice because one of my last ever jobs as an actor was at the Rose Theatre in Kingston, which is just a bizarre coincidence.
The romance of that is like very appealing.
As soon as I saw the name, I was like, yes.
So is that something you would recommend? Because this matches on the woodwork, is that a good
throughout the entire house? For us, it was the perfect, and it's much darker pink than it looks in that picture. It's like a real dirty pink sort of colour.
Yeah. It has a grey edge to it.
People might not be sure of that, but we were like, when you paint like all your staircase, every door, that's kind of a commitment. You try into that. So we were like, we're never going to want to change that for as long as we're here. So
no one's going to want to paint all that.
Can you imagine all the runs on the stairs? It's like too much work.
And the sash windows that we've renovated, they're all in this colour.
So for us, it was a really simple idea. It made sense to have them in the same colour.
But to explain that as well, in terms of the work that we do with our clients, we often like to have a journey through a house. So, clients might have particular ideas about specific spaces and how they want specific spaces to function, but we try and always create a journey from the front door through all of the spaces, and sometimes that journey is with colour. That's how we do it. So the sort of backbone of this house is that colour.
Yeah.
And that's what draws all the spaces together and helps you to take that journey.
Oh, the famous bathroom.
Oh, it's only that pink bathroom,
Excuse me.
the gift that keeps on giving.
It is.
Yeah, our pink bathroom, this is like a classic example that I think people might be put off by using colour in such a bold way. But for us, it was like, we want to have a pink bathroom. And similarly with clients, we've been like, you're going to have a green bathroom. And, you know, they really get on board with it. I just think it's about pushing people's boundaries and just embracing something that you love.
But the metal work, the hardware in this bathroom is quite interesting because one of the most asked questions we get about this bathroom is why didn't you choose
Why didn't you
brass?
have brass?
And we didn't want brass, so that's that. But the whole house is mixed metals, and we like to mix the metals, and I don't like it to be too controlled.
Light switch there, which all the light switches are brass.
Yeah.
Like all the fittings on the radiators are brass. But then I just think it's nice to have, not to match it too much. And this was a great example of like truly bespoke home. A one-bed apartment. Very small. This is we turned into the bedroom was actually the original kitchen, which was probably about the size of that little cupboard back there. Literally just big enough to drop a double bed into the floor. And then we basically took out every internal wall and reconfigured the entire space, didn't we? And it was very much about Pip and what he needed for his brand, and he was like, you know, it needs to be an Instagrammable kitchen. I want two kitchens, so we did half the kitchen is grey and half the kitchen is green. So, which if you photograph it from one way, you've got a grey kitchen. If you turn around the other way, you've got a green kitchen.
It gives him options, and it gives him surfaces that he can use.
What did you do bespoke for Pip?
Literally everything.
Literally.
The headboard was bespoke. All of the joinery was bespoke. The
lights have various bespoke finishes. Again, that's like an aluminium finish, which feels very right for the brutalist building that the house is in. So all of the kind of
you might not look at
architectural
that
elements.
See that it's like a very brutalist building, 1930s concrete block, jobby, but it was trying to add touches.
So I remember
of
you were
that.
so adamant at having a Neptune kitchen.
It was, and we were like, oh my god, that's so classic. How the hell are we going to make that work?
But that's a classic example of a sort of client brief that is giving you a bit of a curveball and a challenge that you perhaps weren't expecting. And actually, it's quite an interesting mix.
Oh, this is more of our radiators at home. So this is our master bedroom at home. And just another example of the colour matching, which is just so lovely and also so warm. Russell is eternally hot and I'm eternally cold. In fact, there's two in the bedroom under each window, and Russell always turns one of them off. So that when I do,
on my side.
But just bespoke. The fabric was bespoke. The paint colour we used in the fabric, so it's sort of picked up.
It's something you don't talk about, warmth in a property, very often. It doesn't really ever get talked about, but there are rooms sometimes in a house that are just really cold. And you just need to, that needs to be addressed in the interior design scheme. And it so often just isn't discussed or thought about. And certainly this house was the coldest house I've ever lived in my life. Not least because the windows were all broken and rotten and, and
but also, like, underfloor heat would have been completely inappropriate in a Victorian upstairs house.
Incredibly expensive in this scenario.
Well, no, but and also not necessarily, because comparatively, I just think it just was completely inappropriate. And we wanted something quite contemporary with a traditional rod. And this, the rads on their own are quite traditional, and you could have had a more traditional valve, but we wanted a more contemporary valve. Sorry, but we want it's that mix of like something a bit.
Well, the front of the house is very classic, and the back of the house is more contemporary. But this radiator sort of straddles that really nicely.
Classic example of something bespoke. So loads of Victorian housing stock in London. Probably 90% of the projects that we work on are Victorian houses, or maybe 80 now, a few more than one.
Edwardian maybe sometimes.
Yeah, but they've all got bay windows. Do you know what I mean?
And
you might think, we're going to have to move a radiator. We can't do that in this situation. But there's so much you can do now.
Actually, when we first bought our property, there was a bay radiator, but it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Like awful.
And it was. It had just been sort of put in, and it was a bit too tall for the windowsill, and it was just awful.
Well,
so
we were like, that's never
going
to work, because I want to put my Christmas tree there. So once a year, all the needles are going to drop into it. So we moved the radiator, and now we've got this horrible Victorian one that is so cold and the room's freezing. But we're slowly working through the radiator. Had we known about this?
We should have had one of these.